I just think it would be fun and entertaining through the duration of the show, while Frank is listening to the melodic excellence of my voice, he can, at the end of the show, describe back what he thinks I look like based on the sound of my voice.
Based on the sound of your voice, you want Frank to guess what you look like because he's never seen you before.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
Maybe I should just draw a picture and I'll send it into the show.
There you go. Just email it to Laura, actually. Well, don't let me forget to put your email up. All right.
I'm not putting my email up.
Hey, by the way, we are recording. So that's the way we do it here, Frank. We just we don't even let
Just
you know
record, man. I love it. Just recording.
We just run. So hey, you are tuned into another episode of Hammered. I'm the host, Mike, and I'm joined by Miss Laura over there. What's up, Laura?
Not much. What's up with you?
You know, same old. This is what our first recording in a week and a half, maybe.
Yeah, dude, the studio's a hot mess.
It is. Well, nobody can see it but us. But that's the way we roll.
What happened in here?
I don't know, but guess what? I'm excited about my guest tonight. Our guest tonight.
I'm excited for you.
We have got the legend, Mr. Frank Geers, in the house. Hey, Frank, thanks for being on the show, man, agreeing to come on and doing this with us.
Oh, Birdman. I guess I got to call you Hammered now, right? I mean, I know you as Birdman for me, man, but Hammered it is, baby. I'll try to get used to that. Excited to be on your show, man. Looking forward to chatting.
I mean, when you got the last name Bird and you're a guy, your nickname is automatically Birdman. Automatically. It never goes away. My son's nickname is Birdman. My brother's nickname is Birdman. It's a curse.
It's a curse. It's a curse. I like it.
Birdman.
I don't know. I know Coco Beware, wrestler, WWF back in the day. He was called the Birdman, right? Am I wrong here, Frank? Or
I think you are correct. I think you are correct. But I think we need to come up with something new for you then, Birdman. If you don't like the old Birdman name because your whole family has it, it's a curse.
Well,
something new before this show is over. I'm gonna give you a new nickname.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to give it to me because you can't give yourself a nickname. Because if you give yourself nicknames, I got all kinds of good ones for me.
We're really putting Frank to work today.
The icon, Mike Bird. Yes, I like that one.
Wow.
Oh, so we got Frank Geers in the house. Frank, you are the president, CEO, founder of the American Cornhole organization. You know, me and you go way back. I was looking today when we scheduled this podcast. I was looking at some of the old Facebook posts, you know, and seeing how far they went back. And 2013 was the first time we had like an exchange on Facebook about cornhole. And, you know, I've talked about cornhole a lot. A lot of people, you know, they know me and they associate my name with cornhole around here. And it's kind of crazy, actually, you know. But, you know, I took 3 years off. I think I left cornhole back in 2018. And, you know, you guys have just taken off, still going, full steam ahead. For those that don't know you, Frank, like I do, and Laura probably needs to learn a little bit about you. Tell us, you know, your story, man. Like, what got you into cornhole? What was that light bulb over your head that said, this is it? Like, first time you played, and you were like, this is what I want to do.
The first thing is, dude, it feels like I've known you longer than 2013. I got to be honest. It feels like you were a big part of the ACO for much longer than what that sounds like. Probably wouldn't. So you left 3 years ago, or last time you really were playing competitive cornhole was 3 years ago?
Yeah, so it was roughly, my last tournament was in 2018.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And I had just won a major too. Me and Brian Lee just won a major in Charlotte.
You got really good. You got competitive there. Weren't you part of the Corny 40 too? I mean, you made the Corny 40, didn't you?
Yeah. I made the Corny 40 back in 2017.
Oh, he is in his corny 40s, all right.
Oh, here we go. See, get Laura started.
I can't wait. No. I can tell this is going to be a good time.
No, but dude, it's I got involved with cornhole way back yonder. Back in 2004 was really when I first conceived and saw cornhole. I never really knew that the game existed until that point in time. But I was at, I believe it was a Cincinnati Bengal football game, and I happened to come across Bird, game that people were playing, drinking in the parking lot, having fun, socializing with. It had a little Bengal logo painted on the board, and the bags they were playing with were black and orange. Go Who Day, man, go Who Day. But, so I saw that. And at that point in time, I was in the marketing business. So I had a marketing firm that I had developed. It was called Harris Hawk at the time. I had left my family business and started that marketing firm. And it was only 2 or 3 years into that business, but I was always looking for a creative way to promote and market businesses. And I happened to see this game of cornhole and thought, man, that is a billboard waiting to happen. You can put, Domino's Pizza on there, Bud Light on there. You could put any type of corporate, logo branding on there and use that at a trade show, use it at a carnival, use it, for whatever to promote a business. And that's kind of how I got into cornhole originally. And it was probably 6 months after I first kind of conceived that I realized that people were taking this silly little backyard tailgating game kind of seriously. So I thought, is there anybody organizing this? Is there anybody like writing rules and regulations and defining guidelines to what I argued could maybe become a sport? Where does all sport begin? I don't know. I mean, where did golf exactly begin, with some people whacking a ball around a field to, hit it in a little cup? Here was this game that had been around apparently for a long, long time. Nobody knows the origin of cornhole. Again, it's a simple enough game where, in the early days when we started, I had military men. You were a military man yourself. I had military men sending us, and women, sending us photographs of them playing cornhole, or a version of cornhole, where they would take this piece of plywood, cut a hole in it, set it up against a cinder block, kind of slope it against a cinder block. They didn't have bags at the time, so they would actually take socks, and they were filling socks with little pellets and stuff. So the origin of the game, who knows when it actually came around. I do know what the ACO did and I did was I came along and I organized it into a sport. I was the one that organized it into a sport. I was the one that came along and created guidelines to rules. We were the first ones to conceive the concept of singles play, where people at the time were like, yeah, singles play, that doesn't make sense. Well, all you have to do is walk back and forth. It wasn't real complicated to figure that out. But we were the first ones to kind of think of that, because everybody was thinking along those lines. And some other fun ideas and things that we brought to the game early on, Lauren Bird, was the idea of a two-sided bag, create some strategy to the game. My uncle, Scott, actually was the one that was originally manufacturing these bags for me, and he was an upholsterer, right? So I would go into an upholstery shop, and you know what they do? They make furniture, with couches and stuff like that. They work with fabrics and things. So he had the sewing equipment. And he actually was the guy that originally made the bags for me. So I'm sitting there in his shop, and I'm looking at his big swatch books of fabric. And I said, Scott, what would happen if we would add 2 different fabrics to this bag? Because I was looking at this synthetic suede and thinking, that might play differently on it. And the idea with that, Bird, as you know from the beginning, was to create a bag that had a slick side and a bag that had a stick side, right? To create an extra dynamic to the game. And I don't know if you remember, but you had to be a good player to play with the ACO, OG bags, man. The two-sided bags that had a true stick.
Bags.
What's that?
Call them the China bags.
Oh yeah, the China bags. Eventually they became, I love the game and love what it does, though, man. It's brought a lot of people into my life over the years, and love where it's like you. I mean, as a perfect example.
Yeah, it's I've met people from all over the country. I've traveled all over when I was a commissioner and a certified official. I traveled with ACO a lot, California, Vegas. I went to Texas a few times, to play cornhole with people I met in the ACO in their own league out in Texas. So I've met people all over the country, man. And, when I think cornhole, man, your name is like synonymous with it. Like, cornhole, Frank Geers. That's it. You were the pioneer. People can, if you look, because I mean, it's the elephant in the room is the ACL, okay, and they came along,
Sure.
and I mean, call a spade, man. They stole a lot of your shit. So
They did.
I know you won't say it. I know you won't say it, but you look at what they're doing now. That was where the ACO, your goal. I saw an interview back in 2017 where your goal was to get, cornhole on ESPN. And, it should have been the ACO, but it is what it is. I look at it's a healthy thing to have two organizations. It's more player exposure for the one. But,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But like everyone that you see over there started in the ACO.
Right.
Everyone. So, yeah, you're definitely the what's the word I'm looking for? Like not just a pioneer, but I guess the founding father of competitive cornhole and the governing body. Everybody says they're the governing body of cornhole, but in my opinion, it's truly the ACO.
Is that something everyone says? Everyone says they are the governing body of cornhole?
Everybody that has an organization.
I guess I better jump on board. It's me. I am the governing body of cornhole.
I mean, there was one I never even heard of before, and then I saw their boards in a store. Where were their boards? They were in Dick's or something. And I was like, who are these people? I've never even heard of them. Maybe I have heard of them, but it's like they don't have an organization. They just make the boards, and they're saying they're the governing body. And I wish I could remember who they were.
I mean, there's the ACA out there, which is American Cornhole Association. Again, you got the American Cornhole League now. The American Cornhole League came along and kind of rode our coattails, utilizing our name and everything like that in the early days, which I think in a way that kind of might have hurt them a little bit because now they're trying to bring separation between the two, I think. Yeah. But I mean, I'm excited. I agree with you, Bird. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the sport would not be where it is today without what I ventured to do years ago. And what I ventured to do, and I brought a lot of good people along that helped us grow this game and grow this sport. People like you, that were part of the mix and a part of the ride, a part of the journey. And, we were the innovators. The one thing I always like to say, and it's the fact, and you kind of just stated it there, is our DNA, the ACO's DNA, is in everybody in cornhole, whether it be Chad Jacobson down there at the TCL, or whether it be Trey Ryder over at the ACL, or whether it even be the group over there at the ACA and stuff like that. There's not an element of cornhole out there that, the ACO wasn't or isn't a part of it in some way, whether it be the players or announcers or, the equipment that people are playing with. If anybody's playing with a bag that has plastic pellets in it, we were the first company to do that. If anybody's playing with a bag that has two different fabrics attached to it, or made up with two different fabrics, whether they're a slick and slicker bag or a slick and stick bag or whatever it is. I mean, that was our idea, that we brought that to the table. So I do love where the game is going. And I do like the fact that more and more people have gotten involved with it. And I'm okay with the fact that there's other groups out there, running and tournaments and things like that. I'm very happy with where we're at. I've always said from the beginning is we're not going to be able to make the entire world happy. All I want to do is make 50% of the world happy and, have them and grow this sport to be the world's biggest sport, which I still believe that cornhole can, in fact, be the world's most dominant sport, because we've talked about it for years, Bird, how simple it is for entry, right? I mean, you could go yourself and build a set of boards for $50 or less with some bags, and you're playing
not with
the game.
Lumber prices the way they are now.
Well, that's true now too. That might be a $1,000 board set.
You ain't lying, man. Ooh, I don't know how board makers can make it these days.
It's tough.
But
I think
anyway.
it's starting to come back to earth a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's just, that's the barrier to entry to the game of cornhole is nothing, and that's why the game of basketball or soccer is a better example. I mean, all you need to play a game of soccer is a ball. I mean, you can turn anything into a net or goalpost and stuff like that, and it's the same thing with cornhole. It's something that you can set up anywhere, whether it's on the beach or in a field or inside your house. People are playing it all over the place, and young and old are playing it alike. Whether you're black or white here, it's not a game for everybody, but no sport or no game is for everybody. But it is a game that anybody really can, be able to, pick up a bag. Dayton Weber is a perfect example. You see a gentleman that, he's missing some appendages and stuff like that from a birth situation, or when he was younger, a kid situation, and he had to have amputations gone. But that kid can go out there and play cornhole, and I haven't seen him in a while. He doesn't play with us at the moment anymore, but he still can play a hell of a game of cornhole, and he goes to show that this sport is a game that so many people can get engaged with and so many people can play. Well, and Laura, I think you can play it too, even though you're the governing body.
Yeah.
I know that you can also get out and play this game. I am the new governing
body of cornhole, ladies and gentlemen. Hammer.
I think he was talking to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was talking to Laura.
I'm your vice president.
I am the governing body of cornhole. And as such, I have a question. I actually have several questions, but we'll start slow here. So what I'm hearing, and this is more so like a clarification question, is you were at a football game one day. You saw a couple of guys playing, essentially backyard cornhole, and you were like, that needs to be a competitive sport. And now here we are.
Well, actually, it started with me saying that needs to be something I'm selling through my marketing company, where I look to make boards and bags. Yeah. And then after I made the boards and bags and came up, so when I originally did it from the marketing standpoint, I created a board that was retailing at $300 a set, 17 years ago. And most people, Laura, were laughing at me because, like I said, the average consumer could go out and buy their own wood and build their own board for, $50 in their garage if they wanted to. Now, they wouldn't be the same as the boards that we created. The boards we created were pieces of furniture and really set the standard. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bert. I mean, there's still, not a better board on the planet than our tournament series board, practically.
Well,
I mean,
you've got some new ones out. I saw them online. Looks like the design's completely different from what I'm used to.
Yeah, well, we went away from not went away on purpose, but our partner that was our manufacturing partner for our tournament series board that we were making for like 12 or 13 years. So the way that started, Laura, is I went around Cincinnati to about 7 different woodworking shops and factories until I was able to come up with what I thought was the perfect cornhole board system that we had created. Well, then a buddy of mine had a company called School Outfitters. School Outfitters did furniture and stuff for schools. That's what they did. So buy desks and chairs and things like that. So he was able to hook me up with a furniture manufacturing company that we then sent our prototype up to, and then we worked with them to tweak it even more to make the board what it is today, which is called our ACO Tournament Series board. And to this day, it's still the best board on the planet. Now, we have some other great, board lines, and so we've added what you're talking about is our Classic Series that we've now added. That's a super board. We actually use that board on tour as well. But the Tournament Series board really set the benchmark for the high-end board and the best boards on the planet. And so it was a tough task for us to undertake, though, because I got involved with it from a product standpoint, and it wasn't until after I got the product done that I realized that people were starting to take this game kind of seriously, and that's when we started to evolve the idea of creating rules and regulations and becoming the governing body, just by saying we were the governing body, by creating standardization behind the game. And people at the time still laughed at us, Bird, because people were saying, you can't make this a sport. This is just something we do in the backyard. But every freaking game is a silly sport.
Well, it's one of those games where anybody can be good, but it takes a lot of practice and a lot of skill to be elite. But everybody can be good. All it takes is practice.
I would agree with that, but I wouldn't say everybody can be good. I think everybody can play the game, but not everybody can even be good, because there's definitely people that aren't ever going to be really great at it, but they can play it. Then there's that classification of people that can get good, and then there's the greats. I mean, the greats, the only way you get to be great is, by practicing. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Eric Zockline on it. And, I listened to it, and it talked about, how many hours he practiced on a daily basis to really hone in and get his game to the level, it is today. Right.
What was it?
It was like 7 or 8 hours a day, weeks on end, for a year type of thing. So, I mean, these guys are practicing hard but he's one of the greats, right?
Yeah.
And there, Matt Guy's another guy out there that, spent hours upon hours, played in the ACO for many, many moons, that, has his own pool barn and is practicing. And, nowadays you see people like, Jeremiah Ellis or Caleb Hurt, and all these guys that they just continue to practice. And here's the thing. There's players out there who have yet to be discovered. There's players out there. So this sport is still in such an infancy stage right now. We know that there are players out there that are better than, the Matt Guy or the Caleb Hurt or the, Eric Zockline or the Frank Geers. Oh, did I throw him in there?
Frank, I've played you before a couple of times, man.
Hey, I have my moments, Bird. I have my moments, baby.
You talk about the players. So I've been out of the sport for 3 years, and I really, man, when I say out of it, I didn't keep up with anything. I mean, I'm still friends on Facebook with a few of the guys in North Carolina and some from, Kentucky and so forth, but I don't know who any of the new players are. So I did go to the ACL World Championships a couple of weeks ago, and there are kids that are playing, that are winning, that are beating the top dogs that when I started in the ACO were like 10 years old.
Yep.
11 years old. And I'm like, oh, my God, how they get so good. And some of the kids that were kids back then, Bobby Morris Jr., Kobe McGeever, these kids completely quit playing, except for Eric Davis. Eric Davis still plays. And, of course, he got his start in the ACO. And he was a killer player in the ACO, and now he's in the ACL. But the guy, Gary Ferguson, is that?
Gary Ferguson, yeah.
I'd never heard of him before. I saw he won Worlds, and I was like, wow, congratulations.
Yeah, so he rolled through some pretty stiff competition. He actually was out of cornhole for a while, and then came back into the mix. And he beat and plays, the Tanner Halberts of the world and stuff like that. I'll tell you, Tennessee, there's pockets of these just stud groups. I mean, Kentucky has always been strong, down there with Keith Blair and, that whole pocket of the world. North Carolina had a really strong, pocket of players. But what happens is all of a sudden you get a group of 2 to 3 to 4 really good guys, and they keep elevating their game. And then the players around them are forced to elevate their game. So all of a sudden you've got a group of 20 to 40 people that become really talented cornhole players because they're always beating up on each other. The unfortunate thing is when you get a situation where you've got one stud in the group and nobody else can ever, touch them, which was the way the sport was for the first, 10 years. Matt Guy in the ACO, developing the sport, he was the Tiger Woods, for the sport and for the ACO, right? And very few people, could touch him. There was the Randy Athas of the worlds and the Charles Trues of the worlds and the Steve Vanderveers of the worlds that were right behind Matt, but they still weren't, Matt at that time, right?
Yeah.
Well, fast forward 20 years later, and now there's thousands and tens of thousands of more players that are playing this thing competitively in their backyards and at the local, watering holes and in these tournaments that are going, church and organized, whatever it is, and groups like the CCL and TCL and all these other little factions that are all around the country. So the number of people that have elevated their game over the last 17 years is, 10,000 time fold. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now you go to these tournaments and literally, you're right, Bird. There's 10-year-olds now that are beating up, the studs of yesteryear, right? I mean, these kids, and the cool thing about it is women are doing the same thing. We have there's a young girl by the name of Maddie McBride. She plays. She is a phenomenal young junior player, but she's a female young junior player. So now not only are you seeing females getting involved more and more with this sport and this game, but you're seeing the junior females getting involved with this game. And that's what's so fun about it. And that's what I love. The World Championships is so much fun because in the open world singles division, it's so cool to realize that a kid could win it, a senior could win it, a woman could win it. So it's open to anybody to go out there and try to compete against the field. And I love that aspect of it. I really do.
Yeah. And anyone, like you touched on Dayton Weber earlier, hell, me and Dayton, I know all about playing with Dayton, man. We played in a couple of majors together in Virginia Beach. We played in, oh my God, did we beat the Avery brothers?
There's a team. If you beat them, that was a good win,
I can't remember. I think we did beat them, but I might be wrong. That was a long time ago because we played in that volleyball area. It had the turf down. I remember the black pellets for all of my shoes. But then we played again in Vegas. Me and Dayton were partners, and we played Isidro Herrera and Ryan Windsor, and we were beating them, man. We had them scared.
Really now?
We had them scared, man. The final score, it was like 21-18 or 17, but I choked. It was me. I played the tournament of my life against Ryan Windsor. We four-bagged, and then I choked and gave up I gave up like 2 frames in a row to him and ended up losing the game. Let Dayton down, but man, Dayton, like you said, I think he was born that way without arms and legs. But that guy, how old is Dayton now? Is he 23?
So
24?
the way I think it actually was when he was like a year and a half old. He spinal meningitis or something like that. So he developed an infection, and but he's grown up his whole life. So now I want to say he's probably 23 or something because he started playing with us. It was a really cool story when he first started playing with us. First event he came out to. I'll tell you, Bert, this is actually an interesting story. I don't know if I ever told you this. So I catch wind that this kid out of Maryland, I think is where he's from, right? Originally.
Yeah, I believe so.
Wants to come out and play in an ACO tournament. It was a major in Charleston, West Virginia. So I catch wind of it, and I learned that this kid doesn't have arms and legs. And I'm like, are you kidding me? How's he playing this game? So I was sent some video footage of him pitching at one of their local tournaments. And I watched the footage, and I was floored to see this young man do what he was doing. I think he was 15 years old maybe at the time when this was sent. However, the one thing that was going on, Bird, was when Dayton grabs a bag, he pinches it, right? And he kind of torques and throws his whole body forward, into the shot. Well, when I saw the video footage, he was actually sitting a foot in front of the board, okay? Mm-hmm. So we didn't have rules and regulations that, say if you're missing an arm or missing a leg, you're allowed to stand closer to the board or, whatever. We only had one set of rules in place. So I had the unfortunate job of calling this young kid who I'm impressed as hell with, right? To say to him, look, Dayton, I love what you're doing. I hear you're talking about coming out and playing in Charleston at the major. However, I got to ask something. Have you ever tried pitching behind the line? And he's like, no, sir, I've never pitched behind the line. And I'm like, well, look, I really want to see you come out, but I really got to tell you, you got to figure out a way that you can pitch behind the line. So can you try to do that? And he said, yeah. So he ended up, and it was a tough call, dude. Here I am trying to tell this poor young kid who's doing a phenomenal job. Even though he's sitting in front of the board by a foot, it's still amazing what he's doing. And so he ended up coming out to that championships with his mom and his grandma. And he rode around on his mom's back, and she would carry him to each court when it was his time to pitch. And the news team came in, did a big story on him, stuff like that. But Dayton would sit now behind the line, okay? And he pitched and did what we had asked him. Now, there was a rule that had to come as the result of this, though, because it was still the Dayton Weber rule for us that we had to institute the following season, because when he would release the bag, he would cross the line after the bag went out of his hands, right? Which was actually breaking a rule that we had in place where you weren't supposed to cross that line until the bag touched the other board. All right. Yeah. So then we changed that rule that season. Internally, it was kind of our Dayton Weber rule, honestly, that said that a player could cross the line once the bag was released from their hands. Well, we had to change that rule again back to the old way, because what was happening in the sport is you were getting these kids and these athletes and these people that were really taking advantage of it. And I mean, coming across the line, tenfold. It was disrupting games, and it just looked sloppy. So we brought the rule back. Now the bag does have to hit the board before you can cross that plane. But I know this is a long story about Dayton Weber, but it's just interesting how, different things happen in time that change rules and change regulations. And that was just a tough call I had to make to Dayton that time that he was coming out to our championships.
Well, I do know that rule must have been tweaked before. Maybe it's still an ACO rule, but I know it's not a rule in the other league, because I saw players throwing the bag and walking across the line. And, as a player, that's distracting, because some players get into a groove and they get momentum. As soon as the other player throws, they're focused in, they want to throw. But if you've got another player walking in the lane and you see him out of your peripheral vision, Laura, I said peripherals, okay?
Okay, well, it's still incorrect, right. But carry on.
But, that's still distracting, And who is complaining about Dayton crossing the line is another thing. Please. That's just people being upset.
This is the cornhole player world, and this is the mentality of cornhole players and just competitors in general. It's all good until somebody starts beating you. And then once somebody starts beating you, like Dayton Weber was doing to these guys, now it becomes an issue. Like he's getting, some sort of favoritism, because he's crossing the line before the bag hits the board. So that's the bottom line.
My God, Frank, the kid has no hands or legs, and you are getting your ass whooped, probably 21-3.
That's the ego coming in. So these other players are going like.
We are talking about cornhole players. I'm sorry.
Dude, it's the cornhole mental, right?
They're just kind of dissecting anything that they can do to not be outplayed, not just by another exceptional player, but another player who has a visible physical handicap, who's still whooping you. So that's just all ego.
Yeah, that's
I'll tell you what, not to make it an entire show about Dayton Weber, but he did another thing that I thought was incredible one time with us. And we were playing down in Goldsboro, North Carolina, down in that neck of the woods, right? And he had come there, and there was camping that was able to go on nearby, right, at the facility that we were playing at. I forget the actual name of the facility.
Was that Kenansville?
Yeah, Kenansville. That's it.
Okay, yeah.
So that down near Goldsboro area. So he ends up camping. Nobody else camped but Damon, and he comes and he's got this freaking big old truck. I don't know where he got the money to get this truck, because it was a beautiful rig that he would drive.
That, yeah.
But so he drove there by himself. He pitched his little tent. He had his little campfire going. I remember going out there as he is like by himself, and I just chatting with him, cooking his hot dogs and dinner on his little campfire. And I was so impressed, like once again, by the independence of this young man and what he was able to do. I mean, he was 17, 18 years old or whatever at the time, traveled out here by himself in his truck to play in this tournament, camping outdoors by himself. So, dude, it's a feat. But back to cornhole, though.
Well, I'm going to have Dayton on the podcast. I'm going to let him know, hey, Dayton, man, you were like a big part of this episode with Frank, man. I definitely got to have you on the podcast so he knows.
I have a question, completely unrelated. Frank, are you from Cincinnati?
I am from Cincinnati.
Do you still live there?
I do, in fact.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no!
I love Cincinnati. What's that about, Laura?
Oh, it's not that bad. Have you
She's
ever
never even been to Cincinnati.
Is your old
Have you?
boyfriend from Cincinnati or
Like
something? What's the deal?
1,000 times. That's where my company's headquarters were.
Never mind, Frank. I forgot. She used to travel for work
My
in
company's
Cincinnati.
headquarters were in Cincinnati.
That's right. My bad. I'll just shut up the rest of the show.
It sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, if you guys make it out to Cincinnati ever, I'll show you. Cincinnati's got a lot of good things to offer for sure these days, Laura.
Cincinnati certainly does. Have you ever been to Nada?
I have. That's a nice restaurant. You don't like it?
I love Nada. Nada is the only thing that I looked forward to when I went to Cincinnati.
Nada's a good place for sure.
They have so many good, like, plant-based and vegan options. The potatoes I dream about to this day. I haven't been to Cincinnati in like 2 years, but the potatoes at Nada are to die for.
Are you okay? You look like you're about to orgasm over there talking about Nada.
Okay.
I mean,
before, I think this is probably one of the first conversations you and I ever had, where we're sitting down at Starbucks and I was getting ready to travel to Cincinnati for the week, and I probably brought up Nada at the time, except the first Nada that I went to was in Indianapolis.
Oh, that was so.
It is a good place, Birdie.
All right, so are you having a major in Cincinnati?
We are. We will, but that's not till May.
May?
Our first major in Cincinnati is in May. We got quite a tour this year too, man. We're right now I think we're at 31 tour stops this year.
So, Laura, were you done with your questions before I go?
Does that matter? Do you care?
Anyway, Frank, so I did want to ask you this. So, we're talking about you being a pioneer of cornhole. Wasn't the ACO the first organization to have tournaments with like hundreds of players involved in them?
Absolutely, and that seesawed over the years as we continued to grow the tour. And you would have been involved, I think, Bird, at the time when we launched out with these $20,000 purse tournaments. It might have been just before your time. I don't remember what season it was. I think it was about 10 years ago. But we had this grand idea, right? So the ACO had been around for 8 years at this point in time. And we thought, oh man, this is the way we're really going to get people into this game. We're going to have these huge purses, right? So we ended up orchestrating these back-to-back. It was like 5 tournaments in a row where we had $20,000 guaranteed purses on the line, right? We went out and took out a loan for some money and stuff like that to have this. We made the entry fee, I believe it was $80, might have been even $100, but it paid 80 spots. So like first place was like 5,000, and then it went to 3,000. And this was before anybody was running, major cash tournaments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But here's what ended up happening for us, Bird, is that the ACO at that point in time had already become known as what we were, which was the Professional Cornhole League with the top players competing in it. So players out there in the general public knew that they couldn't beat the players that were ACO players. So we struggled to get 80 to 100 people to sign up for these guaranteed $20,000 purse tournaments. So needless to say, we lost our ass with those 5 events because we collected somewhere between $5,000 to $6,000 a tournament, and we had to pay out $15,000 additional dollars on top of what we collected. And not only did we lose that money, we didn't have a chance to make any money because there was no big sponsors at the time. So we lived and learned with that. That was a brutal period. But we had these big tournaments around the country, and that just continues to move on. And it was started with 2, and then it went to 5, and then it went to 8, and then it went to 12. And like I said, now we're at 31 tournaments everywhere from the Westgate in Las Vegas, Nevada, to the Convention Center in Knoxville, Tennessee, to Panama City Beach at the Wharf. We're headed up to Traverse City, the Grand Traverse. We got a big purse tournament going on in Hinckley, Minnesota at the Grand Casino up there. So it's really cool now that we have these tournaments. I think it's in like 23 different states now, from Oklahoma to California, and It's awesome because we have a lot of our players that will travel to these things. Money is important as we continue to try to build towards bigger and bigger purses. But honestly, going back to the story of the $20,000 purse tournaments, is that money that we threw out did not drive players like we anticipated. We turned around and then ran a tournament after that with a much, much, much smaller purse and a less entry fee. And we had twice as many players that showed up to compete in that because they were less threatened, by the size of the purse and by the cost of entry. So it's kind of interesting how the game has twisted and turned over the years.
I have another question, just kind of branching off of, like, you've got so many different tournaments happening all over the United States. Something that I'm thinking about are these other organizations, the American Cornhole organization, league, association. Do you have international affiliations?
We do. We're continuing to try to evolve those. The COVID situation really kind of put a kibosh a little bit on stuff for us as we were really growing. We've had players compete from Australia with us, from Germany with us, from Canada with us.
Those guys from Australia, they can drink too, boy.
Oh, yeah, they can.
Yeah, I remember that. What was that? Was that Missouri?
That was in Montgomery. That was in Montgomery
okay.
That we had a big group from them come in. But no, Laura, to answer your question, yes, we are growing, factions across the world. And working on getting more and more of them eventually back to our world championships. But no, it's fun. Like we were talking before, that this sport is going to be the world's biggest sport, and obviously we need to get it going in other countries. And other countries are. So one of our clients was Carnival Cruise over the years. So that was there's two ways that I believe that the sport has really grown in the early days and internationally. And one was through Carnival Cruise having our boards and bags on their boats for years, and two was because of the amount of international people that go on Carnival Cruise, and then two is the military. The military kind of has carried that torch around the rest of the globe, bringing this game to countries all across the world. So, but yeah, we want to get and are trying to get more and more international players involved with American Cornhole. Does that kind of answer your question, Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure, all over the world, people are seeing this and they want to play it. I wasn't sure if you were aware of organizations around the world that were kind of, I guess, have this same entrepreneurship that you possess in making it as large an organization as you have made it here in the States.
Well, I know Germany. I was in a Facebook group. There was a group in Germany. They play just like the ACO. Tournaments, they post winners. They take pictures of everything, all the winners, 1, 2, 3. It was like an exact mirror image of American Cornhole. And that was over 3 years ago, so I don't know what they're doing now. I guess.
Well, they were scheduled to come back out. So Renee is one of the guys, was one of the best players. It was really surprising. I actually got hanging back on the wall back here a big flag from the coolest thing from this German group that came out to the Worlds in Westgate and to Topgolf when we ran a few years back, is they brought these little flags. Here, let me get this for you. I'm gonna have to show it for you real quick.
Yeah.
So it's
Laura, anytime you want to interject, just.
They walk around with these little things.
I will, thank you.
See this little thing here, this little flag? It's a little German flag that says, I guess it's I don't know what it's friendship, I guess is what it is.
Friendship, okay, yeah.
It's a little friendship flag. And then on the back here, he wrote in German, he wrote something to us. And then he wrote something that says, thanks to the ACO for the awesome Worlds in Vegas. You made us feel welcome. And it's been quite the experience to play. See you next year at the World Championships.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, so that was from 2019. That was from our Vegas World. So it's really cool. One of my favorite pieces in the whole museum here. But But yeah, the international people are a lot of fun to have in the mix. And you're right. The Italians have been doing their own like little country championship for some time. They play with a little slightly different equipment, but the Germans though, Bird, it was kind of interesting. They came out and, we thought they were going to be a joke when they came out to compete, because, they just aren't used to playing, at the level that the ACO and the rest of the country is here in the States. Mm-hmm. But they had one player, all of them were good. Like, go back to your classification of good, and then there's grades.
Yeah.
But they had one player that was good enough to finish in a top 96 at the Worlds that year. So he showed well for Germany. I got to say that. I mean, he did well.
Good for him.
He didn't finish beyond that, but he did finish in the top 96, and it was exciting for him because, in the ACO, you have to earn your right to be pro status. Mm-hmm. So that was our first international pro player, was Renee from Germany. So pretty cool stuff.
So yeah. He gets a spot in the ACO Hall of Fame one day.
He does indeed, baby. He does indeed.
So you've got, you started out, was it 4 majors? Then it went to like 6, 8, 10. It's gone up every year. And now you said you're at 31. Well, for sure, Frank Geers doesn't do all this by himself. You probably put the hook in their mouths and catch them, but you don't run all 31 of these events. What's your team look like now?
Oddly enough, that's something we're trying to get away from. And I am not at all 31, but I probably was at 26 last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So fortunately, I have great teams of people out there that are able to step in and help manage these things. And that's what we're trying to do more of is build, continue to build on that team, because our goal, Bird, is to be able to, the reason that we have so many majors is we've got 11 conferences across the country, right? 11 different conferences. Each one of those conferences is made up of anywhere between 3 to 6 different states that make up a conference. The way our system works is players earn points in what are called regional tournaments, and players earn points in majors. Historically, going into season 16, you had to take your best 3 majors and your best 6 regionals, and that gave you your world ranking points, right? Mm-hmm. So this year, moving forward, we're counting 4 majors, your best 4 majors, and your best, I believe it's 8 regionals. Now, with that being said there, the reason that we're looking at these different conferences, or I'm telling you about these different conferences, is my ultimate goal has been to make the ACO accessible for all players and everywhere in the country. Whether you live in Maine or you live in Idaho or you live in Florida, you have the same opportunity to compete in the ACO and compete well by scoring points, maxing out, qualifying for the world championships, and have a chance to become a Corny 40 player like yourself. And it's not fair if all of our tournaments are run in Tennessee, to the players in California and the players in Arizona and the players in Texas and the players in, Montana. So by creating these 11 different conferences and by creating these majors, and I want to have 9 majors in each conference. That's my ultimate goal. So eventually there would be 99 majors, around the country. Players have the freedom to play outside a conference in these majors. So the ultimate goal with the majors is to bring as many of the good people together, at one time. So that's why we're currently sitting on 31 majors, because that's taking the path of where I want to take this game to make it accessible to every player in the United States. And then eventually, internationally.
How about Hawaii and Alaska? Are we going there?
We're bringing them to us right now. We are working on an event in Hawaii, maybe from an international standpoint at some point, because I think Hawaii would be a great destination. And we've talked to them in the past about possibly bringing something out there from an international standpoint. But,
Laura,
Alaska,
if that happens, we're going. I'm playing the major in Hawaii.
I mean, obviously. Neither one of us have ever been to Hawaii. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, I've been everywhere except Hawaii.
All the places we have traveled between us, and Hawaii is not one of them.
I tell you, one of my favorite trips with Frank was when we went to Denver, Fort Collins.
Oh yeah.
We went to New Belgium Brewery and got a VIP
Dude, that was
tour and all the free beer you could drink and
Remember that
merchandise.
Funky
I can't wait
snowstorm
to
there?
be a cornhole legend like you, so I can get the VIP treatment at any brewery I want.
I still remember that guy's name. His name is Tyler. The guy that.
Oh, Tyler, there you go.
showed us
I still have my sign hanging here that I got from him that he shipped to me. So that was pretty cool.
So Frank,
that was quite the experience.
This is a horrible story. The sign he gave me, I put it on my boat. All right, I put it on the door because the name of my boat was the Jolly Ranger, and it had a skull on it. And he gave me that sign. And what was the name of the beer? Oh my God!
Oh, Ranger. I mean, that's Voodoo Ranger or
Voodoo
something
Ranger.
like that.
Yes, the Voodoo Ranger beer of the sign, and I had it tied down with zip ties, and I don't know what happened, man. It's gone.
There's a lot of things that's gone
gone.
missing from the boat.
I was so disappointed I lost my Voodoo Ranger sign. Still got my Voodoo Ranger shirt though, but
They stopped making this, but I got one of these sitting near me, a slow ride. That's a New Belgium slow ride. I don't know if you remember that one, but it's sitting
I don't
close
think
by.
I tried that one. That was a great
Yeah,
time, man. We ran a tournament there. That was fun, man. You still doing anything with New Belgium? Still working with them, or?
Nope, I'm not. These companies come and go and bounce their dollars around and stuff like that. But no, nothing specific with New Belgium. So,
Okay.
one of these days we'll have our own beer out there, our own beer line. We'll come up with something like
Cornhole
that.
beer. Well, I mean, you do know corn is made in moonshine. Is that it?
I wouldn't
It's
know.
one of the main ingredients. Maybe I'm wrong. But maybe that could be a trivia question later. Who knows?
It does sound like that would be a very hoppy kind of base. I feel like if I'm drinking a cornhole beer, it would definitely be kind of a hazy IPA.
So Frank, to get away from the beer, all right, I've been out for 3 years. When I left, you had just implemented this. You kind of got on board with the bags, okay? You were giving players options. There was the Reynolds bag. There was the Cobra bag, I think.
Yep.
There was
So
Beer
that was
Belly, and then there was the ACO Pro bags, the 450s.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know where you're at now, but I come back and there are bag manufacturers flowing out the butt. Everybody's got their own bag now. The bag texture has changed. The way bags play have changed.
Absolutely.
Like you were talking earlier, back in the day, people don't know what it was like to throw the old school ACO pillow bags, those 450s, man.
Yeah.
Like, they clogged a hole. They're huge. You had to throw them straight in the hole. Not like these bags nowadays, man. Like, you get them an inch from the hole, they just slide right in like there's a vacuum cleaner in there, sucking them in. And to get two people to agree on what bags to throw is a challenge from what I'm seeing at some of these tournaments now. So what's the ACO doing with bags now? Are you guys adapting, kind of conforming to the same type bags like slot rights, game changers?
So it's interesting. So after that season that you're talking about, where we had the player choice season, choose your weapon is what we called that year, where we had those 4 different bag manufacturers. That was the last year that we brought the equipment to the table. So that was when you were playing with equipment that we provided to you. Those 4 bag sponsors were there, and you had to choose from what was ever in that basket to compete with. The following season, we reverted over to allowing players to bring their own bags as long as they, met our specification. And the industry kind of had moved that way. It was a calling by the players. Other organizations were doing it that way. So we thought, all right, we'll jump on the bandwagon with everybody else and say, all right, players, because it really did benefit the bag manufacturers by allowing this to happen. And it benefited players too, because, now the players could go get their bags in the colors that they wanted and the designs that they wanted, and get logos put on it that they wanted, and just have their own personality kind of added to the game. So I didn't think that was a bad thing. It really helped grow the awareness of the sport and get more people engaged in the sport because of all these companies that were coming into the mix. So it was a good move. The problem with it now is it's kind of gone almost too far, in my opinion. Now we're going to keep it the same way and allow these bag manufacturers to continue to be part of it because we enjoy having them along for the ride and promoting the sport, promoting the game. And the other good thing is the way that they've made these bags, they go to the hole so forgivingly. I mean, they go easy to the hole, much easier than the traditional bags that you were talking about. So that's made the growth of the game elevate as well, because people feel good about when they can put a bag in the hole. It just makes you feel good as a player. Mm-hmm. So if you can have a lot more people feeling good about that, it's kind of like bowling. I mean, if you're able to bowl a strike, you feel better about the game of bowling. Well, bowling has made it easier for people to roll a strike. You know, the lanes are slicker and they funnel to the center more or whatever, but bowling isn't the same as bowling was 30 years ago, when it was much more difficult to bowl a 300 than it is today. Today, you see tons of bowlers out there. I'm not taking anything away from their skill set and stuff like that, but the reality is it's become easier. It's like the juiced baseball or the juiced bat. I mean, so the baseball goes out of the park. People like to see offense. That's the way I feel cornhole has gone. Is people like to see offense, like to feel the feeling of offense and scoring by, putting the bag in a hole. Well, but it takes away from, for me, it takes away from some of the fun shots that you miss and you don't get to necessarily see. If you and I are just going hole to hole to hole to hole to hole to hole to hole, eventually that kind of gets a little bit boring if we're just waiting to see one of us miss, versus the strategic play that was there yesteryear of our OG bags, which is something that we're trying to bring back around with our Pro Tour as a special division, but where you've got the true stick and the true slick bags, where you're able to play some of that strategic play, Bird, where you're putting the blocker in play, you know what I mean? And you're seeing the true air mails. Now, there's been other shots that have been created too, probably since you left, the flop shot, where the guys get the bag to stick and, flop and roll over the bags and stuff like that. But no, so
I learned about that personally a couple of weeks ago. I was like, how in the hell did he do that consistently too? It was amazing to me. And then I saw other people doing it in other games, and I was like, wow, am I really an old head? Because I don't even know how to do that shot. Like, is that something you do with the new bags or what? I don't know. But
yeah, it is something. There's certain bags. I mean, Reynolds has a bag that plays it well. But, I mean, some of these young kids are so creative and so good with what they do. I mean, Eric Davis was the first player that I ever really saw, do the flop. Austin Cameron with the ACO is a stud with that type of shot. And, so there's a lot of players out there that have actually started studying and testing, playing, that type of shot. Yeah. But, the fun thing about the game is, bottom line is figure out the most creative way to get the bag to the hole. But I like still the idea of trying to bring people down to my level and trying to play defense a little bit and getting the game to be sloppy. Yeah. Because I can't do like you and go toe to toe with, Ryan Windsor bag for bag in the hole. I just don't have it. Back in the day, baby. I just don't have it in me to keep up with that. So I'm going to have to play sloppy and bring you down to my level.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at the top players, at least in the ACL, or it may be in the ACO. I know EZ's still over there, right? Zockline. All these people that are still top players now, finishing top of the tournaments, in the finals, they were all ACO players throwing those 450s at one time. So it's all about throwing the bag straight at the end of the day, no matter what bag you use. With the exception of a couple of players, that didn't throw those bags. Everybody threw them bags, and it's all about throwing the bag straight. And they all have the ability to hit air mails. And I did not see any of the old school players flop bags, though. I did not see any of that.
Well, they don't need it. They've already got an air mail. They don't really need it that often. I think it is it's a less risky shot than an airmail. So that's probably the reason to develop the shot. But those guys have been around the game long enough, and they've got a good enough airmail where they don't feel threatened by throwing the airmail. So that's why I think you see a lot of the old school guys not bother trying to get that shot into their arsenal, because they don't really need it. Because if you've got a solid airmail, you don't really need that shot necessarily.
And it seems like that's a low percentage shot too, the flop shot. I mean, I would rather try something else. Like, I think I'm a better airmail thrower than I am a flop shotter. But, I just want to give Laura credit for sitting through this, because I knew this was going to be a struggle for her, Frank, because she knows nothing about cornhole.
All I'm saying is I appreciate any shot that's not a flop shot. So I do prefer an airmail myself. I'm kind of an airmail kind of girl.
I mean, look, I took her to a tournament, Frank, her first tournament. I really wanted to go to Bradenton, but it just didn't work out. It was too far. I couldn't get time off. So I was like, you know what, let's go to Rock Hill. I'm going to go play in the ACL. I'm going to play in their competitive division and see how it goes. So, hey, man, I won my first 2 games and lost my third and won 3 in a row. No, won 2 in a row and then lost. So I was like 6-2 or something like that. This woman didn't even watch me. She's sitting over there playing with kids.
Michael, that's not true.
I was like, can I get some support?
Oh my God,
Can you hold a sign that says "Go Birdman"
for 8 fucking hours, and the last hour where you decided to choke, I just happened to be interacting with a small child, and now you want to blame me for your shitty throw.
Frank, it was the worst choke job ever in the history of cornhole since I've been playing since 2013. I was up 8-3. I had scored 8 on this guy. He threw a blocker. I threw 3 airmails in a row. Scored
nice.
8 points. Made it 8-3. I didn't score again. He got a 10 and an 8.
You blew your wad right there, Bernie.
I blew it completely. Suffered. It was the worst choke job ever. But hey man,
well,
it happens.
One thing to mention to you, because I don't know, when you're how much longer you want to go, but there's one of the coolest things that has happened over the last 3 years. Probably was right after you left that this. We were out in Vegas around then, but is this whole thing with the lifers? Are you familiar with ACO lifers? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, they're the ones that get the tattoos, right?
Yeah. It's an awesome phenomena that's going on, and it's crazy. So my deal is I never thought that we would get more than a couple people to do this. So tattoos on my body or whatever, but I said I would be number 99 if the ACO gets 98 people to have a tattoo on their body, the ACO.
Wait a second, you don't have one?
No, I don't have a tattoo.
You don't have an ACO tattoo, and these people are getting ACO tattoos.
No,
and
not
the
yet,
founder of the ACO doesn't even have one. Oh no!
I told everybody I'd do it at 99. I'll be 99, baby. So, but it's crazy, dude. I mean, I'm like, what are you guys doing? But I love it. I mean, it's awesome, and they're cool as hell. And so they actually get to do a lot of fun things there. They get this lifer jersey. This year it was we ran a lifer tournament that's free. They win trophy and a little prize money, I think, at the World Championships. We just had to plan a bigger day for it because, dude, we had 55 people show up for the lifer tournament. We have 70 people in the world now that are sporting the ACO brand. 70 freaking
70
crazy
people
out there. Which I love them all, but man, I'm just like two of them are my sons.
Yeah.
So knock that back down to 68.
We need 28 people out there to get this tattoo. Frank, when you get to 28 more people, you said 99, right?
99, baby.
So when you get that 98th person, can we do this tattoo on Hammered?
Oh, Michael, where is yours?
I mean,
sounds like you got to contribute.
I tell you what.
Yeah. He might have to.
I think Michael should be 98.
No, I'll be 97.
97.
No, I'll be 98 when there's a 97. So if there's a 97, I'll be 98.
You're gonna be 98.
And I will give my tattoo.
Generally, how contingent numbers work, sweetie.
That's why you are on this show, Laura, to keep up with the math.
I love it.
Speaking of math, cornhole scoring, worst ever. Anyway. But I would definitely be number 98, Frank. I would be 98. There's no rules on where you get it, how big it has to be.
Well, there are rules.
I think I should dictate the rules.
There are rules.
There's rules in cornhole. There should be rules around the cornhole tattoo.
There are definitely rules around the cornhole tattoo, so you might want to go out and read the rules before you decide what you're going to do.
As the governing body of cornhole here, I'll be in conference with Frank to discuss the specifications around the ACO tattoo.
For all cornhole players listening to this podcast right now or watching this on YouTube, I am starting a campaign.
I'm starting a campaign.
Geers, everyone is where they are in cornhole right now because of this man, Frank Geers. Whether you believe it or not, or you don't agree with it, it is. You're throwing in the ACL mostly because of Frank Geers. You're on ESPN mostly because of Frank Geers. You started off in the ACO, you moved on, which I can't say, I see why. I see why they did it, okay? But I think they all owe the ACO just a little bit. So get those tattoos, people. Get those tattoos. It could be a little one. It could be a small one. Put it on the bottom of your foot,
No. You gotta meet the specifications. Yeah, you gotta talk to
butt,
You gotta talk to William Howe, man. William Howe is the governor of that baby.
Oh.
But no, it's exciting stuff, dude. I love where the ACO is going. Like I said, I mean, there's big things in the horizon, and it continues to get bigger. I mean, we doubled our membership last year. We sold out more majors than we've ever sold out last year. 13 of our 25 were sellouts. The most we'd ever had prior to that was 2. So it's the future is absolutely bright for the ACO. As we continue to move for our TV contracts and everything else.
You got anything
so I'm
going
excited
with that? You got anything going with that? Any looks to going on TV or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things behind the scenes. I can't talk too much about it, but there is some big stuff happening, and I'm not going to say it's going to be in the next month, but there's some big things happening really around the corner here.
Well, look, man, people can say what they want about the ACO, the ACL, but what you started and what Stacy's doing now, definitely puts cornhole out there. I mean, the sport has been discovered. People know about it. There's commercials. You see the merchandise in the stores now. Man, there's video games coming out. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy where cornhole is, and it all started, with the ACO, as far as I'm concerned, But yeah, I think ACO, ACL, TCL, CCL, ACA, whatever your organization is, they're doing cornhole justice out there. It's a tradition on Hammered that we have Hammered Trivia with every guest that comes on the show. So what happens is there's 6 questions. Each player gets 3 questions apiece. Whoever answers the most questions correctly wins the coveted Hammered Trophy.
Nice.
If you win, we will FedEx this to you, no problem.
Or we'll come to Cincinnati and we'll all have a taco at Nada.
I like that even better.
I need to call a friend.
There's no calling in. This isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or anything like that. These questions are really tough.
I'm the worst trivia guy on the planet, brother.
All right, so here's what trivia is based on tonight.
All right.
Since you're on the show and we're talking about cornhole, tonight's trivia is based on corn. Not cornhole. Laura was so scared it was going to be on cornhole.
So,
but it's going to be on corn.
Before the show,
it's going to be on corn. All right.
What's wild is right before the show, I'm like, oh my God, please don't tell me trivia is around cornhole. That's rude. That's a setup. I'll lose. And I'm like, make it about corn or something. And he swears that I read his mind. It's fine.
Nah, I thought that she was looking at my computer screen. Saw me prepping for the show. But anyway, here we go, Frank. You get the first question, and the trivia is on corn.
So am I battling Laura? Am I battling Laura? Is that the deal?
You are battling Laura one-on-one.
So now, wait, I don't even get to see her, and I can't tell if she's looking at the answers there with you. So I feel like this is the setup right out the gate.
Look, I'm just going to tell you, she's sitting across the table from me.
Okay, I'm just going to interrupt very quickly, and I'm not sorry. Michael makes it a point to try to handicap me in these little trivia wars. He loves to set me up to lose. He hates when I bring home the win for the Naughty Donkey Studio. So I'm telling you, anything that he can do to work this out in your favor, he's going to do it. So there you have it.
So are you ready to win, Frank?
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. I want that coveted little trophy here, baby.
All right. So these questions are taken from play.howstuffworks.com. All right. Some may be hard. Some may be simple. All right. So, Frank, you get number one, which is which of the – oh, my gosh. Be quiet.
Oh, I can't.
All right, Frank. Which of the following can a corn cob not be used for?
Oh, no.
Smoking tobacco, toilet paper, or playing video games?
Playing video games.
That is correct. That was an easy one. All right. So Frank's on the board with one. Laura, here's your first question. What's another common name for corn? Is it maize, kale, or candy corn?
Maize.
That is correct. See, now we're starting off pretty easy, right? 1-1. Questions are easy. Frank, is this true or false? Corn flour contains gluten.
That is false.
That is correct. It is 2-1. All right, Laura. Are you ready for your second question?
Yes.
Man, that trophy's coming my way, Laura. I can feel it now.
Okay.
True or false? You must completely remove corn husk before placing it on the grill.
False.
That is correct. It is false. Okay. Frank, your third question.
Now it gets serious. Now it's a tough question.
This is it. I don't know if you want to call this one tough or not, but what's the best season to harvest and eat corn? Spring, summer, or fall?
Wow. I actually don't know that answer, but I'm going to go with summer.
And that would be a great guess because you're right. All right, Laura. It is 3-2.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I was thinking about the Pilgrims and Thanksgiving and all that other stuff. And I was thinking, man, I don't know. Is that fall?
Nah, I had to think twice about that one too because I was thinking fall.
I was also thinking fall.
Yeah.
Well done.
Okay, so you got it right though. It's 3-2. Right, Laura, you got to get this one right. If she gets this right, Frank, we go into overtime, and then it's a question. It's a question until somebody screws up. Okay, Laura, how long ago did corn become a domesticated crop? Was it 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, or 7,000 to 10,000 years ago?
7 to 10,000 years ago.
That is correct. We're tied at 3. We're in the sudden death overtime, Frank. All right, here we go. What country leads the world in corn production? Mexico, Russia, United States.
Is that for me or is that either of us?
That's for you, Frank.
I'll go with the U.S.
That is correct. All right, Laura. Which of the following is not a type of corn produced in the United States? Bitter, normal, sugary, or sugar enhanced?
Bitter.
Damn, what a lucky guess. You got it right.
Hello, this is the United States. Americans can't handle bitter shit.
Oh, I thought for sure she was going to get that
That's
one.
Where we got the bitter beer face.
Yeah. All right, Frank, here you go. Corn is the main component of what type of family entertainment attraction? Splash pools, roller coasters, or mazes?
Mazes.
That is correct. That was way too easy. Oh, okay.
Did you prepare these all for this today, or are you just looking online at some random corn question thing?
Oh, come on. That's exactly what this is, a random online corn question thing. HowStuffWorks.com. All right, Laura, which of the following is corn used for? Car fuel, animal feed, or both of the above?
Both.
That is true. Man, who's going to get one wrong here? Frank.
We're about to run out of corn questions.
How many bushels of corn did America's corn farmers produce in 2010? Was it 50 million bushels, 1 million bushels, or 12.4 billion bushels?
Man, the one number seems way huge, but I don't know why they'd put it out there. I'll go with 50 million.
Oh no, Frank got one wrong.
Was it 12 was it 12
billion bushels?
Yeah, that's what I figured it was, but
Yeah.
What exactly is the measuring unit of a bushel?
I don't know. Do you know what a measuring unit of a bushel is, Frank?
How many ears of corn goes in a bushel, Frank?
It's a hell of a lot.
Yeah. That's a good, I need to look that up.
A bushel.
See, I'm going to look that up.
Oh, well.
You can't ask a question that you don't even know what a bushel is.
Clearly in the question, it doesn't state I need to know what a bushel is.
Did Alex Trebek know all the answers to Jeopardy?
Rest in peace.
Probably. But
did you see that the new host for Jeopardy?
He's already out.
He quit.
I'm not following this because there's no one that can fill the great Alex Trebek's shoes.
Well, they thought they had this guy. He was the producer for The Price is Right.
Yeah, and he's stepped in for a temporary thing, and he did a great job apparently. But I forget what the backstory is, but something happened.
It was stuff he said about women on The Price is Right. About, I don't want to say because I'll be paraphrasing, but it was like he wanted the women to show more or something out there. I don't know. Yeah, it was like misogynistic.
Wow,
type
perfect
stuff,
for a guy who wants to host, a general knowledge show.
They said he was doing a good job, though.
That's how.
I don't know.
That's how women take their wins on Jeopardy.
Oh
should have shown a little more
They
cleavage
should
when
have
I
just kept Aaron Rodgers.
auditioned for Jeopardy.
Yeah, you did audition for Jeopardy, didn't you?
I did.
Well, let's see.
It was a
if
long
you can,
time ago.
If you get this question correct, then you are Hammered Trivia's champion for this episode.
Michael, I've already won.
No, you did not answer.
Because he got the question wrong.
But you have.
Yeah, but you have to answer one though, still, Laura. Come on,
you still
play
have to
fair.
answer one. You know how this works. How many times have you
No,
played?
I don't know
Jeopardy?
how this works because you change the rules every episode.
It's my show. I can.
For fuck's sake.
All right, here we go. For the win, Laura, are you ready? Mm-hmm. How many corn farmers are currently growing the crop in the United States? Is it 100,000, 300,000, or 500,000? For the win.
500,000.
That is wrong.
It's B.
All right. It is B. It was, I clicked something and the
300,000 was B.
It was 300,000. That's right. Now we are in sudden death because you both got it wrong. So if Frank gets this one right, he wins. If he gets it wrong, then you win. All right. I'm making the rules up as we go.
How is that any different from me having won the first time he got it wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna be here all night if I don't make some kind of rule in here.
What?
Well, you know what? I'll let Laura keep the trophy for 6 months, and then I get to keep the trophy for 6 months.
Oh, no. We're not doing this joint custody shit, Frank. Someone has to win today.
Here we go. Here it is right here. For the win, Frank. For the win or for the loss?
I'm in for the win.
Which of the following food categories does corn belong to? Vegetables, grains, or both of the above?
I'm going to say both.
That is correct. Frank, you are the
Booyah!
How can it be both?
I'm not arguing with the answer. That's how stuff works. It says both.
I need an explanation.
Now,
is
believe it or not,
that
corn
trophy?
is a vegetable. It a vegetable if harvested while still juicy and edible, and a grain if harvested after it's already dried out. It's also technically considered a fruit because it's actually the dried fruit of a plant, although some people dispute one or more of these categorizations. And you would be one of those people disputing it, as you are.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I
just want to know.
I'm sorry.
I'll take a little picture when I get my trophy.
How can a product be a fruit, a vegetable, and a grain? That did not explain anything.
It did. It said once the vegetable dries out.
Okay, so
it
it's
becomes
a
grain.
vegetable until it's picked and then it's a grain? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know. I don't know anything about corn except for what I just read. I don't know. Maybe
Obviously.
Frank knows about corn.
Well,
I don't
clearly.
know.
We've got
well.
our corn king over here. It's only right.
I have never been the king of corn. That was a goal of mine when I was playing in the ACO, to be the king of cornhole, and it never just happened. So,
hey,
whatever.
there's still time, dude. That's the greatest thing about this game, man. You can play it for the rest of your life, right, brother?
Oh, you can, bro. There's players like Damon Dennis, man. He's still out there killing it, man. He's been playing for a while, but look, Frank,
you
man,
you need to make your way over to one of these majors though this year. Come out to one of them.
Like we talked, you got some coming around the state of North Carolina. I'm gonna try my damnedest to get there, man. Like I know you, Charleston, West Virginia. You got something there, or?
We got Charleston, West Virginia. We kick off the season next week, but we'll be in Columbia, South Carolina the following weekend. So that's not too far from the Carolina folks, obviously. But we're also in York, PA, which is not that terribly far from you.
No, it's
not. We're in Manassas, Virginia. I think we're going to be back in Roanoke, Virginia. We haven't locked that one down yet. I'm trying to think of the ones close to you, but those are all fairly close. So we're going to be in Augusta, Georgia. Okay. That's a pretty solid one. That usually is always sold out, and that's a good crowd one. I'll tell you, Knoxville, Tennessee is a killer one to make it to too.
I've
that's
been
always
there
great.
Twice too. That's a good town too.
That's a great town.
Had a good time there. Took my daughter to that one, I believe. Yeah. I'm sure, man. When you see me, I'll have Laura with me. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
At least I think. I'm actually going to play in Ventura Beach. Well, not really to go. I'm not really going to go play, but they got this Spencer McKenzie's shootout.
Yeah. I think it's got like $200,000 or something in prize money out there or something crazy.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the top players are going out to that one. 1,200 teams, but I'm not going to play. I'm going out there to. So I've got another podcast that myself and Rob Chismark are going to be launching in a couple of weeks. It's called The Sticky Side, and it's strictly cornhole, and we're going to be interviewing the top players from all the organizations, and we'd like to have you on again, and if you'd like to talk to us on the podcast.
I was going to say, Frank, consider this a prelude to your next appearance on Naughty Donkey Studio Productions' latest podcast, The Sticky Side.
Yeah, so I'm going out there. I'm going to join Rob, and I think Rob MCs that event, and talk to some players, get some interviews, and revisit some old players from the past and stuff. So should be a good time.
Love it. Yeah, I've not made it out to that one, but it's supposedly an awesome time, a great experience out there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something else the ACO probably had a hand in starting somehow.
We didn't have anything to do with that one. No, but they've done good with that one. Sure, I think it's some kind of fishery or something out there, or some kind of company that owns the town basically that just kind of started doing this thing, throwing some fun money at it and having good time with it.
And it's attracted players from all over the country, man. Like I've heard about it back before I quit 3 years ago. The people were still going to it from North Carolina. I was like, what's up with this tournament, man? All these people going to it. And, I couldn't go to it. I couldn't afford to. No. Spend that money on tickets to go to California. Hell no. Hotels, oh, my God. But, yeah, a lot of good players going out there. A lot of the top pros and all the divisions are going. All the organizations are going. So it'll be a good time, man. It'll be a good time. So, and yeah, I'll talk to you at the end of this, man. Get you on the sticky side.
I love it. Well, good luck with that, my friend.
Yeah, man. Hey, Frank, thanks again for joining us. And Laura, thanks for sitting through this podcast about cornhole. I know this was like a big thing for you and going into it. It's not like we usually have musicians on the show, Frank. So she's really
something
good.
Fun.
She's really good with musicians.
So you know what? Wait, speaking of musicians, though, I'm going to have to send you, Laura, then. Do you like country music at all?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. That's so now do you like hip hop? What do you like? What are you into?
I love rock. Just about every single genre or category or subcategory of rock. I prefer Edie's hair metal. I do kind of like the glam metal, and A lot of 70s rock, too.
So softer rock, go check out Rose Vision. They've already broke up, the band, but my son was the lead singer and songwriter for a group called Rose, R-O-S-E Vision. You can get them on Spotify. But check out he's got a couple good songs out there with them. It's not hard rock, but let me know what you think, Laura. Let me know what you think, Birdie.
I will.
Check it out.
Thank
Rose
you.
Vision.
Well, hell, we might just have to have him on the show, Frank.
Yeah, check it out, though. I think you guys are going to be impressed. So here, quick back story on this kid. He had an opera scholarship to Ole Miss. So he went to Ole Miss for a year for opera music. And he failed out, because he just was having too much fun and didn't want to do opera because his mom was forcing him in opera. So now he's become a music songwriter, which is a tough industry to be in. But the dude has some really killer pipes, and he writes some amazing music. So I got a feeling he's actually going to do something with himself one of these days. But he's written about 35 songs now. So when you talked about the fact that you do a lot of musicians and stuff on your show, he might be a cat someday, Birdie. You want to get on this show?
Yeah, brother. We always.
Absolutely.
That's basically what we have on Hammered for the most part. We have bands from the local area on, and we like to showcase them. And we've actually had some bands from out of state on the podcast too. So that's kind of our genre, We've had cornhole people on before. I've had Trey Ryder on. I've had Toby Smith on the podcast. And I think you're like our third cornhole guy. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it being on there, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, bro. Well, thanks again, Frank, and we'll see you down the road, man, at one of these majors coming around. Can't wait, man. Be good to see you.
I have
keep
one
on,
last
keep on pitching,
very
brother.
important question, though, and we really almost just glossed right over this. Frank, what do I look like?
Ooh.
Remember, I'm going to draw a picture.
All right.
Are you blonde?
No.
All right, so I already missed one. That's not what I wasn't gonna make you blonde.
You really have to draw a picture and give it to me so I can put it at the end of this show. You really have to
Actually,
now, Frank.
I know. Make it a multiple choice question, Bird. Send me 3 pictures of 3 different women, and then I have to pick which one I think it is.
Oh no.
I'm totally gonna do that, and I'm gonna put your answer at the end of this podcast. All right, folks, you've been listening to Hammered, or if you've been checking us out on the Naughty Donkey Productions YouTube channel, you've been watching us. Subscribe, like us. Thanks. Peace.
That was very moving outro. Thank you.
It was. I'm moved.
It brought tears to my eye.